With strategy tight and teamwork supreme, in the game of kings we achieve our dreams. Feel the power, unleash the roar. Viking King, we're taking the throne. Through every game we've grown and we've shown. With courage in hearts and fire in our veins, the saga continues through victories and pains. Feel the power, unleash the roar. Viking King, we're taking the throne. Through every game we've grown and we've shown. With courage in hearts and fire in our veins, the saga continues through victories and pains. Together, my brothers, the night is our stage. In this epic journey, we write our own page. Workload. Together, my brothers, the night is our stage. In this epic journey, we write our own page. Viking King, we're taking the throne. Through every game we've grown and we've shown. With courage in hearts and fire in our veins, the saga continues through victories and pains. Workload. We're up to date. So gather, my brothers, the night is our stage. In this epic journey, we write our own page. Workload.
What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? It's good to see you. VKG is back in the house, back in the building. It's Behind the Wheel episode 15. Check that, 15 episodes, man. This has been quite the project. I feel extremely honored, extremely grateful for all the time that I've been able to spend with like some of our favorite streamers. Like honestly, there's no real method to like picking who gets on Behind the Wheel, who's on Behind the Wheel. It just, every week it happens. There's a burst of energy, there's a rift through the universe, and something happens. Like from Rory to Hogston to Papa to Eric, Greasy, everybody, like it just happened. Even with the Grim and Erratic episode, it's a benchmark in the community's crossroads and crisscrossing and how communities interact. And our guest today, it's amazing how different communities kind of grow from these little places. Like our guest today is from Branbury, UK, like this little bitty place in this world, but over 8,000 people have found their way to NotThatQuick's channel. And I've been talking to him for the whole last hour and just really getting immersed in like what makes NTQ click. Like what is it that has driven all these people to his channel in the last year and a half, and why they stick around and why they watch. And it's the genuineness. This guy is so genuine. He wears his emotions on his sleeves. He's one of the most talented. He's very talented racers, but he's a content creator, and he's a race connoisseur, and he's a lover of racecraft. And so we're gonna love him. He's in the hot seat today, behind the wheel. Without further ado, let me bring to you Mr. NTQ. What's up, sir? How you doing, brother?
Good evening. How are we all?
Hopefully that was a good introduction.
I always wave at the camera. I don't know why. My arm just does its own thing. Just goes up here on its own.
It's perfect. I think everybody's waving at you. Take the time to shout out to Brigsby, Ricky, Skelly, Dave, Isaric, Blankenship. We got LVP 444, Chris Wood, DIY guy, Rob. We got a whole crew in here. I think I might have saw Hulky in there jumping in early on. So shout out to you guys. It's good to see you guys. Again, we're talking about mergers of communities, bringing everybody together, and that's what Behind the Wheel is all about. It's about the next story. Numbers don't matter. You're not the number next to your name. You're the story behind it. And I think every time we do this, I every single time I get somebody tells me, man, like I didn't know that about that person. I didn't know that about that person. And one of the craziest things that I heard about you, like you don't come off as this you know, this really like tough macho guy or anything like that. But
Mhm.
you were actually like a protective agent and you did like you almost got killed doing private
Yeah,
security. What
yeah.
how did you get into that first of all? You were tell me about
How
that.
how did I get into the job?
Yeah.
So it came from DJing, believe it or not. Um, I spent a lot of time in nightclubs, and obviously nightclubs have door staff. And I worked in a club in a town in the UK called Derby, and I'd spent I was there for about a year, and I got really friendly with the guys that worked the doors there, and they put me in touch with the guy who or the area manager for the security company that they work for. Um, and I kind of I don't know I just liked the that kind of atmosphere, and I was getting to the point where I was happier being outside on the door of the club than actually being inside DJing in the club. And I don't know, I just sort of fell into it. And the guy that I worked for started his own security company. And as part of that, he branched out into close protection. And I was offered the opportunity to get involved with it. He paid for the whole course. And I thought, well, this is a great idea. I'm going to do this because you see it on films and on movies and things. And you think this is really glamorous, and then you really quickly find out that it isn't. And
Great.
one of it was kind of the best one of the best jobs I've ever had, but also one of the worst.
Right.
Um,
I mean, I'm sure getting shot at is
yeah, it's not
not
fun. Don't
fun.
do it.
Not
No, don't, it's bad. It's
I mean,
bad.
I'd be going to YouTube full time after getting shot at in the head if that happened at my job
Yeah,
too.
I would. I could count many things that I would rather be doing than doing that. Also,
Yeah.
while I remember, are we allowed to drink alcohol on this live stream?
Oh man, yeah. Do what you want to do, man. It's
Excellent.
like
Good.
I said, man. I never tell anybody with the can of candy. I mean, shout out to Pupayuku. I mean, he was throwing them back, man. So we were having fun. No, just
Oh, I've had a
enjoy
long day today, and
yourselves.
I'm
Be
allowing them.
yourself. It's all about being yourself, man. So you were talking about that's amazing. But I have some graphics here and getting to kind of
Mhm.
know the real NTQ. I think we have maybe a picture of if we can put that in our head of what you might look like as top flight security.
Oh God.
But
Oh,
shout out
don't
to your
I hate
boys.
these pictures?
Shout out to your boys here. No, it's awesome to have you on the
Yeah,
show, man. I
they were they were good people to work with, and in actual fact, I didn't work with one bad doorman. They were all really nice guys. Um,
so
and it kind of
outside
came at a time um, where I was going through a fair bit. My ex partner had left, and I was living up in Derby on my own. And then all of a sudden, I've got this big group of doormen that I can speak to and talk to, and yeah, it was great. It was great. Really good job.
so you got to kind of do the badass job on the outside, but it was really about the
Yeah,
inside. That's like where your real passion lies. Are you? I didn't get
yeah.
the chance to hear what your DJ name was, but are you DJ not that quick or are you?
No, I didn't really have one, to be honest. My DJing was all commercial, so I did a little bit for radio. I did a couple of shows. I did a bit for Radio One with a few people, but I was a resident DJ in various clubs, so nobody really knew who I was or what my name was. I was just the guy that stood behind turntables every night on a Saturday or a Friday. Yeah, I didn't
I
really
did
have a
the
kind of a DJ persona.
I had a little bit of DJing experience in high school. I was doing it on like Friday, Saturday nights at weddings and like little things. The announcer at our
Mm,
school, Alex, he had like a DJ company and he was like, "Hey, if you set up for me, if you you know, if you set up the trucks, drive the trucks, set everything up, and you stand the tables while he did his thing, you know, I would get like half the tips and like, you know, a little bit of wage. And then it got into, you know, finally being able to kind of control the music. So I got a little taste of it, but it looks like you got a pretty cool setup here. Is there like any specific, you know, is this your equipment that we're looking at with the lights and the Pioneer deck and stuff? Is this something that you like,
Yeah, yeah. The decks were mine. I actually started on vinyl. Um,
like scratching?
back in Yeah, I could never scratch. That's one thing I could never do. I don't know how they do it. I've practiced and it sounded awful,
I
so I
think all of
stopped.
us have got up to a vital record to just
Just I
just a
I
little bit.
I, I kind of I attempted it, but I couldn't do it. I tried to, and I made myself look very stupid on multiple occasions, so it didn't last very long.
That is, I don't, man.
Um,
Shout out to all the DJs out there that are scratching it up, man. I
it,
love that stuff. It's one
it's
of the coolest.
crazy. I don't know how, and you see them. Some of them do like they spin round and they do it. They'll with their
Oh
backs
man,
to
the
it, and
backside like the.
how?
No man, love music. Big
Ah,
fan of music. Um, so
same.
life before YouTube, kind of a mix of ups and
Mm,
downs. One of the big impacts that we were talking about. I know that you're super open on your channel and you talk about some of the things that you've gone
yeah.
through. Kind of a rough childhood, you know, went through some things early on. You want to tell us about, you know, kind of, you know, getting diagnosed with diabetes at 9 years old and kind of how
Yeah.
that impacted, you know, you and how it brought you into video games and, you know, because I mean, right now you're in
Yeah.
an amazing place, and I just kind of want to get that build up as the story behind how you got there. So 9 years old, tell us a little bit about what
Hmm.
happened.
So it was a school trip that was arranged to the natural. I think it's called the Natural History Museum. It might be something else in London. And on the morning of the trip, I get up and I get ready for school, and I'm just feeling awful. And my parents thought that I was faking it because I didn't want to go on the trip. I got carted off, shoved on the bus down to London. I went, and yeah, it was just a very bad day. I was sick. I was thirsty. I was really unwell. I passed out on the coach on the way home, and the teachers thought that I'd gone to sleep. And when I got home, my parents took me to the doctor, and the doctor actually told them that he thought I had a viral infection and to let me go to bed with a bottle of Lucozade. I don't know if you have it in the States, but Lucozade is
Mm.
liquid sugar, or at the time was liquid sugar, which was the last thing that I should have had. And it sent me over the edge. And I
Like
went back.
glucose, like I think we have.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, it's a glucose drink. But when your sugar levels were as high as mine was on the day that I was diagnosed, having a whole bottle of Lucozade was a suboptimal strategy, I'd have thought. And I was taken to hospital that evening, and I was there for the best part of a month. Um, and it came
Holy
as a bit of a
smokes!
shock because before that, I had absolutely no idea what diabetes was, never heard of it. And all of a sudden, I've got doctors and nurses saying that I can't have sugar and I need to do blood tests every day and I need to have injections every day for the rest of my life. And when you're 9 years old, this is horrendous. Um, and I found it really difficult. And the people at my school, all the kids, they were in the same position as me. Nobody really understood what it was. Um, most of the kids thought that it was contagious, so I was left just in the corner of the playground on my own for well every day. Um, I was bullied relentlessly, and to top it off, the teachers thought that I'd feel better if I stood up in front of the whole school in an assembly and told everybody what diabetes was. So you can imagine
Thanks.
there's little Neil stood on stage in front of all of these people trying to talk about something I had absolutely no idea about. and it
Right.
was the most horrific
And then
experience I've
having
ever
like
had in my
every
life.
kid in the school looking at you and kind of
Yeah,
wondering, and I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure that just wasn't great socially. I mean, it probably
No, I hated it. No, I hated it.
gosh.
It scarred me for life. I still don't like getting up and talking in front of people. Um, I don't like. Um, I'm not a fan of busy environments. I don't do very well in crowds of people. Um, yeah, it's a very difficult thing to go through when you're really young. It's
Yeah.
awful.
No,
Um,
man, I can relate to a tough childhood. And I mean, I've dealt with a lot of things, not physically like that, that really kind of messes with your energy. And we were talking about kind of how that pushed you
mm,
into, kind of a box or, a closed
yeah.
space. But in that closed space, you found one of your biggest loves in the world, and that's video games. And you're telling me off
Yeah.
stream, you enjoy a whole plethora of different games, but
Yeah.
kind of getting into how that pushed you into Gran Turismo and sim racing. Really, when did that spark happen? Was it young, or did it kind of wait till late?
Yeah, really, really young. So my interest in motorsport, I had, God, uh, I would imagine 5, maybe earlier 6, possibly. I remember my earliest memory of it is my dad used to watch. This is back when F1 was played on BBC over in the UK, every weekend for free. You didn't have to pay for it back then. And every weekend, the F1 would be on the TV, and I'd sit there and I'd watch it. And I was, this back when people like Nigel Mansell or Senna would race in, and I just fell in love with it, loved it. Every
So
weekend, I'd be
Dutchy.
sat there with my dad watching F1, and that's kind of where it stemmed from. I started doing a bit of karting when I was younger. My parents would take me off to various tracks and places all over the country.
Did the racing? I know
Um,
you were telling me about your dad earlier, and we got a picture of you and your dad. I
yeah,
believe you said this is at Monaco.
that's Monaco. Yeah, yeah. I think that's the second time that we went.
You were saying that
Um,
Monaco it's way more. What would you say? The money flowing through there is a whole lot
you don't.
crazier in
I mean,
person.
you get, yeah, you get an idea of what it's like on TV. Um, you see the boats and you see the people in nice cars, but you don't see the kind of the full extent of how stinkingly rich the people in Monaco are. I was I was there with my parents and a previous girlfriend, and one memory stands out in my head because it was just beyond rich. There was a woman on the back of one of these big boats, and she had a guy in a Bentley convertible at the back of the boat, and she got off the boat into the Bentley, drove 50 meters up the road, and you don't see it during the F1 because half the road's shut. They use it as a pit lane.
Right.
Um, but when the F1 isn't on, that's two-way traffic. So we drove up the road to a little turn, cut across this bit of grass, drove back down the road. So he's probably travelled about 80 meters in total. The woman gets out of the car, goes into the shop, buys something, gets back into the Bentley, drives back down the other side to the other end of the road, back up, and then stops to get back on her boat again. Now, normal people would get off the boat, walk the 15 feet from the boat to the shop across the road. But not if you're in Monaco. No, no, no. You get
Yeah, you
Philip
don't walk in
to drive
Monaco.
you. No, no. You get in your Bentley and you get chauffeur to drive you up the road and turn back round. And I was just there
The
watching it
kind
like,
of
oh my
money.
God, she is stinking rich.
I mean,
And
and
I
that's
want some.
so that's why all of us, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we all sim race, right? Is we're never ever going to touch
Mm-mm,
these cars. I mean, these things, the
no.
ones that we're obsessed with, right? It's not the road cars, which you have some experience with too. We'll get to that. but it's the race cars. It's the
Yeah, yeah.
multi-million-dollar cars that we like to race and simulate on that grip the track like crazy. It's the playground for the rich. For the
It
rich.
really is. Yeah, it really is.
I mean, it's
It's
insane.
it's so much money to kind of put it into perspective. Over here, to run a car for a season, in a lower
See you
class
10,
season,
Stampy.
they you'd be looking at minimum 100,000 easy.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I mean,
And
motorsports is
that's yeah, and that's for a lower seat. We have a series over here, or an organization called the 750 Motor Club, and it's made up of various different platforms. So you'll have, I don't know, Toyota Renault 2s or Renault Clios, or various different things, Caterhams. Um, but what you don't realize is that the people that race in those classes, they pay for the car and everything themselves. So if you have if you bin it on the first race, nobody's paying for that for you.
no, you're
You've got to
bankrupt.
pay
You're
for it.
done. You're done. The kind of people
Yeah,
that
you're
have
done.
that kind of money to throw away. And it's not like, I mean,
Yeah.
nobody's going to go out there and be a perfect racer. You're going to incur damage. I'm sure
No.
just completing the
You're
race,
gonna make mistakes.
without hitting the wall, you're probably, going through a whole overhaul. And I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
your
yeah.
lives are on the
Yeah.
line. And it's not to say that sim racing is cheap either. Sim racing is not a cheap hobby.
No.
It is
No.
one of those things, and I think again, when we talk about the community coming together and what kind of like ties us in, it is the cost of playing this game. I mean, my corner that
Mhm.
the evolutions that I've gone through in just the last year is absolutely wild. I want to take a second to kind of
Mhm.
look at you say you're running a Fanatec DD Pro with the GT Omega
Yeah.
Prime Chase bucket. You got a PC
Yeah.
PS5 and a Go XLR. You also said that your camera's pretty OP. So I got some pictures of your
Yeah.
rig here that I wanted to bring up, and we're checking out your seat now. That's a beautiful seat, by the way. I mean, kudos to you. That looks comfy.
Yeah. It was when I upgraded, I used a GT Omega at cockpit first. And then I got together with GT Omega and I started the whole affiliation. And they offered me a prime rig, um, a very, how can I, a lower cost, shall we say, than if I was to buy one outright, without the affiliation. And they advised that I use one of these snazzy blue seats. Um, and it does stand out. I really like it. I was unsure at first. I'll admit, I saw it and I thought, yeah, I'm not sitting in that. No, mm-mm. But it's grown on me. It's like being constantly cuddled by a Smurf.
It's just gonna.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Not Papa
Is it
Smurf, no,
like
because he was the girl
Alcatel? What is
Smurf.
it? Is it like suede or Alcatel, or is it just like
Yeah,
the?
it's like a suede material. Um, yeah,
You know
yeah.
you're gonna
Change the
get. You know
subject
you're gonna get Smurf jokes on
quick.
your channel.
uh,
Get hugged by
but
a
that's what it
Smurf,
is.
man.
It's exactly the same color as a Smurf. It is.
That's
Who's the
awesome.
girl Smurf?
That's
The girl
awesome.
Smurf, and
NTQ
not
Smurf,
the boy Smurf.
right?
The
It
girl
looks
Smurf.
it looks nice, man. Comfort is definitely important. The rig is definitely important. How do you
It really and it is comfy. Yeah,
did
it
you
is
start
comfy.
off? I mean, is that the first? That can't be the first chair.
No, I actually had my first chair on my art rig was an RS12, which I bought thinking it would be really comfortable. Turns out that the RS12 is meant for people of a larger frame, and I'm not of a larger frame. So what happened was I sat in this chair and then got eaten by the chair. And I looked at myself in the streams, and the top of this one's here. At the top of the RS12, I mean, Rory sits in it and it looks like a normal size seat. I
Yeah.
sit in it and it looks like I'm a midget.
I like
So,
Z28.
oh,
Z28 said he got the extra jumbo large chair because he,
yeah, yeah,
for the back support. This one, I mean, like I said, I'm simming on a budget, so I got okay GT Omega, like whatever the stock seat is for the Omega Prime. But did you start? What was your
Mm.
first wheel? I know you're on the DD Pro now, which is, I mean,
Uh,
what the
my
pros use.
first ever sim wheel was a Logitech G29.
Oh, that people are still balling on that.
Yeah, that thing's honestly, if you want a wheel that isn't hugely expensive but gives you an introduction into wheel and pedal sim racing, it's perfect.
Oh yeah, it's got the
It's so
accuracy.
good.
I mean, I know a bunch of
Yeah,
aliens that drive the GT9 series.
and people still use them.
Oh yeah,
Wind, one of the fastest people in the world on GT7, used a G29 for a very long time and constantly set
yeah.
top 10
Brigsby's on the
times in the world.
G29. He says right there. What's up,
Yeah,
Sebastian Brigsby, Dutchy? I see y'all. Yaki's in the chat. What's up, y'all? I see you. Moto with the
it's a good
5
one.
gifted. I see you, brother. I see you. I see you. So, all right. So when it comes to wheel rig setup, is there anything else? I
Mm.
want to talk about your camera because one of the things that happens in the hour, this is why we always practice for an hour before the show, is the cameras are always off. We're always trying to figure something out. It's hard to merge everything. You literally turned on the camera and it was like perfect. Boom, bang. And that's one of your
Yeah.
OP aspects. Tell us a little bit about this
Oh, it's
camera.
way over it's way over the top. So the camera comes. I actually got the camera before I started streaming. Because I had a really good idea to start a YouTube channel based on detailing cars, which at the time is what I was doing. Um, and I had absolutely no idea of how to do anything on YouTube, and it fell so hard. Um, I, I still feel it. Um, so I was kind of left with
But you
this
got a second
camera.
channel now, right? You got not that, what
Yeah,
was it? Not that what's
not
it?
that fixed.
Not that fixed. And you actually, I mean,
Yeah, which
it's doing
somebody
amazing.
chose that for me.
It's doing
Yeah,
amazing. You're like
I did.
17,000 views on a video already.
You do so well. When you start YouTube, you get the milestones. So you have to get 500 subscribers and 3,000 hours of watched footage to get um, to be able to offer memberships to your first stage of monetization on YouTube. And I've done, I've nearly hit those milestones from one video, and I don't know how. All I did was clean a car, so I'm going to do some more. Basically, that's what I'm doing at the moment. I've doubled my workload, but it's good because it keeps me busy. I'm not sat
You got to have a secret,
doing.
man. I'm looking at the stats here. You started streaming in November of 2023. You're already at 8.5
y-
thousand subscribers. Like,
Yeah,
what's the secret, Neil? What's the secret, man?
I'd
It's got
love.
to be it's got to be a secret sauce.
I will tell you, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. No, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. People have said to me that they've asked me this question before, like how do you do it? I genuinely haven't got a clue. Um, I
It's got to be you, brother.
I started. Well, I guess so. Um, but it's difficult for me to go. Well, I must be doing something right because I've always been somebody that lacks self confidence. So it's difficult for me to go right. Well, I did this. Um, But I think it's it's mostly because I think I have a reputation on YouTube for not I just don't care. I'm the same talking to you now as I am streaming, and if I was to go out the front door and talk to somebody in the street, I'd speak to them in the same manner. I don't change how I am as a person. I just start streaming, and I generally, and I've said this to a few people, when I stream and there's people in the live stream and they're talking, I feel like I'm sat in a pub or a bar with my mates having a drink. And I've that's how I treat it. That's how I see it. And I guess it's kind of worked. And I also think that because people are aware, a lot of people are aware of the things that I suffer with the PTSD and things. I think a lot of people can relate to that, and I also think it's a more people relate to it than I kind of thought would relate to it.
That's what I told
Um,
you, man. That's the message behind every time I
yeah.
get someone to come, every time someone comes onto the show, you know, and I'm reading about them and I'm listening about them, and I'm like trying to find a theme of the show, you know, with everybody, there was kind of a message. And if there's anything about you, Neil, that I find just completely uplifting, it's the message about, you know, overcoming all the obstacles and everything that you've gone through to
Hmm.
find this kind of success. I've been working for a year on this channel, and we know the milestone. I'm not a big numbers guy, but I just broke the 1,000 subscriber milestone. Shout out to all you guys who have taken the
That's
time to hit
huge.
that
That's
button.
huge.
But it took me a year to do that. You know what I mean? And I've been trying to be as genuine as possible. But
Hmm.
in all reality, man, you're more relatable to people than I am, than a lot of these guys are. And you know, when I see people who have kind of this upward trajectory on YouTube, it's not about what you can move, what you can lift. It's not even about what you do physically. It's about what you do mentally. And I think when you
Hmm.
peeled back that mask and you kind of showed people exactly who you were, I think that had a huge impact. And I think that that truly does resonate with
Yeah,
folks. And I think that might be
I
just the
think so.
complete undertone of your channel and your success. So I want to give you
Yeah.
kudos, because earlier in the channel we were talking about some really hard things that you'd went through, and to see you sitting
Mm.
here, because now that emotion's going to shift, right? Now people are going to be like, "Oh man, that sucks. I feel bad." Now they're going to be like, "Oh man, I wish I could do that. How do I replicate that? How do I get a hold of Neil and figure out what Neil's doing?" And now, how do you handle kind of that shift in energy in life? You know, now you're kind of
Um,
you're the go-to guy.
I found it difficult at first. I felt like, especially on YouTube, I just I felt like I had to conform to the kind of polished YouTuber sort of image. You know, you can't say things that might offend people. You can't do this and you can't do that, and you have to be this way and you have to act that way. And I thought, no, I don't. My attitude changed, and I kind of thought, you know, if you don't like how I am as a person, watch a different YouTuber. I'm not. I don't feel like. I kind of felt like, because, and it kind of changed as more people started watching. I kind of thought to myself, if I sit here and I cover up how I'm feeling, or I don't express my emotions, or I make everything, or if I sugarcoat everything, not only is that not going to help me, and I'm not going to be able to talk about my issues or my problems, but people that watch are also going to feel like, well, I can't say anything about mine. So my idea is, if people can see that I'm live on the internet, um, talking about how I feel and being open about things and showing my emotions, my hope is that it gives other people the confidence to do the same thing. And, you know, people that watch my live streams will see sometimes I get frustrated, I get angry, I show my emotions. And for me, it's difficult because I think it's very difficult for people to understand that, for me, if that happens, I can't control it. It's just out there, and that's it. Once it starts, it's a massive mental battle with my head. Try and snap out of it. And what tends to happen is I get to the point where I go, right, I'm done. I'm not streaming. And I'll close the stream down and I'll walk away from the rig and I'll go and sit on my bed for a minute. And after about half an hour, I'll calm down. And that's when the kind of, I wish I just carried on streaming sort of kicks in. Um, but like I said before, I feel quite almost emotional about it, because when I started, I kind of felt like I was very much on my own, and I was the only person going through anything that was upsetting or or difficult. And the more I streamed, the more people would come in and say, "I understand what how you're feeling. I get it." I've had people
For
say that
sure.
they've suffered because their brothers. One guy I won't say his name, but one guy lost his brother to suicide, and he hadn't spoken about it. But because he was watching my streams and I was being open about it, he was sharing it with people in the chat.
Right.
And I thought, well, this is amazing. Because I feel like as men, we kind of have to have this man of the house. Um, you know, we have to be strong. We have to do this. We have to do that. We have to be the providers. We can't have emotions. We can't express how we feel. And I feel like no, I don't agree with that. Our gender doesn't determine how we express ourselves or how we go about day-to-day life. You know,
100%.
just because we're male doesn't mean we don't have emotions, and we shouldn't
Right.
feel like we have to fit into this kind of sort of rhetoric that we're men,
Well, and
so we can't get upset. We have to be perfect all the time, because
right.
that isn't it. That's not how it is.
Right.
So I've kind of gone with it, and I've never really changed. Some people don't like it. Like I said to you earlier in our little chat, I had a guy this morning that I had to sort of. I enjoy it now. If I get trolly comments, I'll sit there and I amuse myself for half an hour.
You haven't made it until you get some
Um,
trolls, man. Like the
I,
more
I get it
you
quite
got to
often.
you got to track your like
Um,
if you track your troll count matched to your sub count, I feel like you get one troll for every 100.
it's yeah, probably not far off. Yeah, but I love it. These people don't realize
Well,
that YouTube
we
doesn't
got
have a
introduced by
system.
that. That's how like I
Yeah.
mean even before I don't know. It was so early on that I met NTQ and I think it was on I
Yeah.
forget exactly where it was on, but you know, and we don't say names, we don't mention nobody, we don't give nobody no clout. But I jumped in early and was like, "Hey man, that's not cool, man. What are you doing? What are you doing?"
I
And I
I
just
I suffered horrendously from that.
yeah, and I mean, and
Horrendous.
that introduced you, you know, the real not that quick. And since then, we've had a relationship, and it's been, I mean, it's been almost a
Yeah.
year that you know, and
Yeah.
different sides of the world, different sides of the planet, different sides of growing up. You know, kind of like when people we were talking about earlier, when people look at me and they see kind of they have an expectation of who I am or what I'm like, and you know, and they make those assumptions based on you know kind of what we present on camera. That's all people can see from us, and when they see you know someone that they relate to you know they stick around so it's really cool when I look at the kind
Mhm.
of some of the community. I got a lot of the Viking guys, a lot of the kind of hardcore guys you know that are you know into kind of things that I'm like, but then we share this common ground in sim racing and kind of being techies and nerds
Mhm.
and having voices. And when you look at the similarities between all of us that are on here, it's you got to have a voice, you got to have a face, you got to have the confidence. There's traits that we
Yeah.
share that we never would have known if we didn't come across this YouTube thing. So, you know, just
Mhm.
kudos to you and just you know, I'm really it's been amazing kind of meeting some of your community members. And I think since that moment, you know, that we had that interaction with the real not that quick, it's blossomed into this, and it was always going to lead to you sitting
Mhm.
behind that seat. So I just want to say thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and I want to talk a little bit.
No, no, no. I need to thank you, I think, more than anything. You know what it
Ah,
was? I saw you do I can see Dutchy in the chat there.
Dutchy the
Dutchy
man.
somebody there's so
Shout
many
out to
people
Wheelie and
that
Wolf,
I can
Charlie,
see Dave, I can see Brigsby, I can see Dutchy. I have a
Big
lot of
Charlie.
time for Dutchy. Um,
Dutchy's the
and
man.
I have a lot of time for everybody. And what seems to have happened is we've had instances where I've had trolls, and we all have, and it's kind of eventually the trolls all sort of fade out, and what's left is this really good community of people. Um, and it's not like it's such a weird thing because they're in different parts of the world. I mean, Dutchies in
Oh yeah,
Holland,
the
you're in the
land of
States,
giants.
and I need to give a mention to Sim as well, because Sim
Says
GT7 has been
says Sim GT7's like a brother to
he's
you,
an
man.
absolute hero. I love that guy. He's just the best. But he's in South Africa, and it's you just meet people from all over the world, and it's great. And eventually, trolls disappear, and I've learnt to just I laugh at them more now than I get frustrated. And I think people have come to
You
realise
got
that
to. You got to be a duck. Just let it roll
you
right off your
don't.
back, man.
I have this kind of thing. Never, ever, ever pick an argument with somebody that has worked doors, because you just won't win ever. And if
You've
there's
heard
one
it
thing that
all.
I learned, I've heard it all. Literally all of it. And I will sit there and I will argue all night, and I will
It's an
go
art.
back and forth with comments on a YouTube video or post, because A, I find it hilarious and it gives me something to do. And B, what these people don't realize is that YouTube doesn't know the difference between a positive and a negative comment. All it sees is engagement. So the more these people are typing, the more it boosts your algorithm. So I'll sit there and I'll converse with these morons all night. I don't care. I'll sit there, put my feet up, make myself a little drink. All right, here we go then. Let's have a go at this. And off we go. And I'll sit there and I'll go backwards and forwards for ages. And I just laugh at them now. It's hilarious. It's great.
Ted's having a good time.
More trolls, the better. No, don't say
Jeez.
that. No. We don't want trolls. But
No.
yeah, I've learned to just, things do frustrate me in the game, and on YouTube, but I've learned to just laugh at
Oh yeah.
things, and
Oh yeah. No,
I
gotta
find it
love my
easier to
haters,
deal
man.
with things
I, just,
now.
I learned something from so many people that I've been able to interact with, and I feel like sometimes well, I'll tell you the example that I do like to set. Is everybody kind of has their first chance with me, and I've just had to do this in life. I grew up a screw up. I grew up in group homes and foster care, my whole life. So every month I had a different set of brothers. It was like 12 new guys in the house, or 16 new
Mm,
I was on a site with 260 guys, and so and it just rotated. Foster care is a rotation system. Guys coming in, guys going out. And you had to really learn to engage with everybody, or you would be
mm,
outcasted, you would be subgrouped, you'd be put kind of in your place. And if you want to be, for me, if I wanted to be a leader of men, and if I want, being an athlete and being on, in that kind of world, having to feel like I had to rise to the top. I wanted to, go into the Marines. And before I got my scholarship, that was my direction, because I felt like it worked for me. But I always wanted to earn people's respect. And I always wanted to do that by doing the hard things and setting the example, because I could never speak if I didn't
mm,
do. So what I try to do when it comes to the community is I try to show people as much respect as I can, and that I never react to the negativity. I gotta let the negativity go, and I'll reward the positivity, ignore the negativity. But I've encountered my trolls. We were talking about people that inspire us, and their poise.
mm.
And we were talking about Rory. Obviously, everybody saw the Rory episode, which was awesome. Shout out to Rory. Love you,
Yeah.
man. Appreciate you for coming on the show. But his poise, right? That's what everybody.
He has got god tier poise, that guy. It's nuts.
How do
I wish I could do
how
it.
do you do what he does and engage? We were trying to figure out, like,
I don't think
how
you
do you
can.
read the chat and race? And you were saying, what were you saying? You said Apache helicopters, they're able to like look with two different
Oh yeah,
eyes.
yeah. I mean, I'd love to say that I knew this because I was clever. I didn't. I saw it on a TV program. But they have like a camera, or their kind of head-up display, if you like, on one eye, and then the other eye they're trained how to use sort of independently from this one, so they can look like that. And I think that's what Rory does. Rory is literally the Apache helicopter pilot of YouTube. That's what he does. He's got one eye on his chat constantly, and the other one is looking at being ridiculous, far too good at Gran Turismo for his own good. I don't like it. It's annoying. Stop it.
Yeah,
And
we were talking
he's
about this.
just, all of us are like this constantly to Rory,
Yeah,
because he's just the godfather.
he's literally running the community and racing. He's not racing and like hosting
Yeah.
his community. It's crazy. And I think if some of us, I'll tell you what, man, when you try to imitate that kind of level of interaction, I mean, it really messes you up on track. So
If I try and give the same interaction or engage in the same interaction as Rory does, my car will not be going the right direction
No, I can't
for
see. I could barely
90% of the
stay on the
race.
race line now. Have you
I
have you
struggle when it's just ridiculous.
have you been racing a long time? Like, is Gran Turismo is this a since 1997 for a lot of us? Is this like
Yeah, yeah. I had it on the first for the first PlayStation, and the second one, and the third one, and the fourth, all of them. The only one I didn't really spend a lot of time on was GT Sport. Um, I kind of I kind of came away from it a little bit then. Um, and
that's
then
crazy because a lot of people I hear from, it's like GT Sport brought them back.
yeah, I got into it as
I
sort
see
of
you,
as
Papa.
GT7 was kind of on the horizon. Um, so people were kind of it was maybe a month or two before GT7 came out. Um, it's one of the reasons why I bought GT7 because I enjoyed GT Sport so much. Um,
And was
but
that
I played more of it after the whole breakdown episode happened on. I mean, you know, because I've told you, but on the way to work, and the sort of trigger switched, and I had my full on midlife crisis meltdown. Um,
but again, that's
I
that's
was
that's what makes you you, is that the
yeah, it
community
was
has
yeah,
become that
it
for you.
it has it has it honestly, and I mean this 100% hand on heart. If it wasn't for the community, and it wasn't for the if it wasn't the people in the chat and in Discord that the people that I speak to outside of YouTube, but that have come from YouTube, I wouldn't do it. 100%. I just wouldn't. Um, that I've
Shout
people
out to
will
the
tell
chat.
you
Y'all are
I've
y'all
I've
make us
considered
tick.
giving up. Oh, they do 100%.
I mean,
And
look
I've
at
considered
we
closing
got
the
Rob, we
channel.
got Wrenchy in here, we got Papa. Shout out to Papa for the membership. Appreciate you, big dog. Charlie, RJ. I mean, every single time, because I know a lot of these faces, and every time I see some new
Mhm.
faces, uh, it's we were talking about again. I don't know if you guys were here earlier in the show, but how hard it was to be 9 years old, to be in those situations, to be
Mm.
kind of treated that way and looked at that way, to be exiled. And again, now having, I mean, we got 30 people hanging out here. You have 8,000 people who have rallied around you in a year. You know, like what kind of
Mm.
impact is that? What does that make you drive? Let's go back to the start and see
Um,
what was it that got you to get on YouTube in the first place? And then tell us a little bit about what it's become to you.
so I got into it because after I had the shooting happened, and I was going through a load of other stuff at the time during the shooting, and I uh, I'll be honest, there was two evenings that I can remember that I sat on my sofa in my living room, and I thought, I'm just going to end it. I'm done. I don't care, and that was it. And I'm not. I won't be here tomorrow. And I kind of talked myself out of it. I forced myself out of it a couple of times. Um, and I was mixed in with some people that I shouldn't be. I was doing things that I shouldn't have been doing, and I just woke up one morning and said to myself, "I'm done. I can't do this anymore." And I called my parents and I said, "I'm coming back. I need to come back. I need to get out of Derby." And that weekend, my parents came up to Derby, packed everything out of the house into a van, and we drove home. And the weekend after that, I went on a holiday to France for 2 weeks because I just needed to stop. I needed to get away from everything. And I left everything in Derby behind, the DJing, the doors, clothes protection, everything. I just stopped. Um, and I took some time to myself. I carried on. I carried on doing a bit of detailing. I had a van and I do mobile valeting. I did that for a while, and then I got a job full time which I really enjoyed. I was testing cars every day, so that was fine for me. I was just driving around in cars and getting paid for it. That was brilliant. And then one morning I was driving to work and I got halfway there and something just switched and I had to pull over on the side of the road and I literally broke down in tears on the side of the road at 5:30 in the morning and I didn't know what to do. Um, After about 10 or 15 minutes, I turned the car around and I went home and didn't leave the house. I was stuck inside the house, didn't go out, didn't want to eat, didn't want to do anything. All I was
Sleepers.
doing was just playing Gran Turismo on the PlayStation. That was it. And I finally um, got round to seeing a doctor. And the first thing the doctor said to me, or one of the first things the doctor said to me, was you need to find something to concentrate on or focus on and get your mind away from the horrible negative thoughts that you're experiencing and try and train your mind to concentrate on something else. A couple of people that are doing YouTube, maybe I'll try it. And I started live streaming from the PlayStation, and here I am. And that's literally how it came about.
And it just
Um,
we're less than a year
just
and a half later. We
yeah,
are a year
yeah,
and a half later. It's been a year and a half. Like
yeah.
how
I don't know how, but I got monetized or became a YouTube partner with 1,000 subscribers in less than 2 months.
holy smokes.
And
I thought
I
Wrench
could, I
Wench was
honestly,
fast.
I remember my first 50 subscribers. I was sat at my brother's house and I was looking at my phone and I call him Nugget. We all call him Nugget. It goes back years, basically because his hair is the same color as a chicken nugget, and and it stuck. And I was going, Nugget, Nugget, I've got 50 subscribers. And I was just looking at these, and I was going, I'm thinking, oh no. And it really spurred me on to do more on YouTube. So I was streaming every day. And at the time I was doing it directly to YouTube from the PlayStation. And it just built and built and built. And then I switched over to a PC and I started using Streamlabs and it just escalated and grew and somehow now I'm here
So
and
now
there's
it's
sponsors
full-time
involved
YouTubing,
and
right? Full
full
time.
time on YouTube.
Full time.
And now I've launched a second channel. I've given myself even more work to do because I just like punishing myself. And
I mean, why not?
and
It's I mean,
why
again, man,
not? Yeah,
you're
I
like the real guy that's actually
I don't
doing it, man.
stop.
I see you, man.
I
I see you on your grind.
I've thought about it. I've thought about stopping because I've had. I mean, this week's been pretty horrendous. I think it's a combination of I didn't really get on with the daily races. I haven't slept very well, so I've been quite tired. And it's been I didn't have a PC for a month, so I couldn't do anything, and the channel's kind of suffered a little bit because of it. And because of that, I'm now starting to struggle a little bit financially. I mean, it'll come back, but for a month or so, it's been really difficult, and I've just been exhausted this week, and it's just been one of those weeks that just hasn't really gone my way. But it is what it is. You've just got to carry on. And I must admit, I've thought to myself a couple of times this week, um, when I've sort of got out of my own head and just gone, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. And then I have a little nap and I stop being a massive girl and I just carry on.
So
But that's what it's like.
so
It's really difficult to explain it, but unless you're kind of in that and you've experienced it, it's really difficult to explain how these kind of switches in moods can make you feel. It's a tricky one.
no, I mean, now I'm trying to juggle, full-time working. When I started this, I was, disabled and had the free time and really kind of didn't really know what to do. I didn't want to just be sitting around playing video games. And, if you really knew me, you know that anything I do in life that I have a skill at, I try to monetize it, whether it be, taking my fitness career and then becoming,
Yeah.
a a master trainer and then starting a gym. And I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist, and I work with at-risk youth.
Never
And
do what you're good at for free.
yeah, right. I mean, it's
I was
valuable,
taught
right?
that when I was younger, and
It's valuable,
it's
right?
true.
So I always
Yeah,
try to do things at max potential. And I remember when I started, the whole
100%.
YouTube thing, I was like, either I'm gonna give myself 6 months to start with, and either it's gonna fail or succeed. And I told Misa, I was like, I'm making this investment. If the investment pays off and things get some traction, great. And just in the beginning, knowing that I wanted to be a little bit different. I'm never gonna catch up to some of these guys that are world star class, GTWS winners. These guys have a decade in the game, have learned, have played this game. They have all the time. Z28 was saying they have all the time in the world. So you're competing against that. So finding
Mm,
something that makes you you. And I think the secret, and everybody that I've met and everybody streaming, is you are the you. That's the difference, right? And if you just get on here
mhm.
and you just be you, you're going to meet, out of the 7 billion people on the planet, or 8 billion people, you're going to meet a lot of people that are just like you. And I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
that's that's what you have here. So now moving forward, what do you do with it? What's the goals for the channel? What do you want to see happen here?
I'd like to continue growing the main channel, the GT7 channel. I'm also I'm putting a lot of effort into the second channel.
It's not competition,
Um,
Yaki
it's
or Dutchy.
it's it's completely different, the second channel to the first one. I've got a big interest in cars, and that I can't really include that with the GT7 channel. So my only option really was to start a second one. So I did
Mm.
that. I'm kind of trying to sort of split my time between the two and come up with some sort of schedule so that I can get what I need to get done on both channels. But also at the same time, it keeps me busy, so it stops me sitting there and you know going over things in my head and things. It keeps me active and it keeps me busy, so it helps me mentally as well. And ultimately, I mean, I could lie and sit here and say, I want to do this, that, and the other, but ultimately, I want to make millions and millions of pounds on YouTube. Um,
Yeah, right? Like, why not?
let's be
I
honest.
mean,
I mean,
if you're doing it to
y-
do it, you're doing it to doing it, right?
you don't. It's like you don't go to work for free,
Right.
and
Yeah, I love my job, love
you,
my boys, but I mean, I wouldn't be there
and I
just for the
enjoy it, and
paycheck.
I'm fortunate to be in a position that I can do what I enjoy doing while talking to the people that I enjoy talking to and making money. And it's literally at the moment it is the best job in the world.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't change it.
I mean,
But
even when I talk
it
to young people, like I manage a site of at-risk youth, and there's two different programs, and there's two different groups of kids, but we're always trying to figure out kind of what to bring in vocationals and stuff. And I mean it does start getting introduced lately, like, how do we really talk about social media and that as a career path? Because collegiately, you have degrees that are based around the utilization of social media, networking. I mean, there's if you know how to network, and I don't know if there's any other platform, like, I hear people complain about the 30% that YouTube takes. And I'm like, I mean, really,
mm,
let's think about this. They provided the infrastructure, they've provided a platform where you can network
yeah,
throughout the world. I mean, think about what we're doing right here with the drop of a
yeah.
dime, without really any effort at all. We're able to sit here like we're sitting in the room together and talk about
It's
worldwide.
yeah. It's a little bit like the minimum effort, maximum satisfaction, because it takes very little um, effort really to live stream. Let's be honest. You set an overlay up, and this is one of the reasons why I enjoy doing it, because I didn't mention to you, but I studied at college as a graphic designer.
Oh,
So
snap.
to get involved with overlay
I knew there was
design
something,
and
because your
logos
thumbnails
and
and everything is always just tip top.
I
Like,
love all that. Yeah,
come
I
on now.
sit there and
That's just
I change little pictures, and I love it, and it gives me the opportunity to use some of the things that I learned in college. So that's one of the reasons why I enjoy doing it. Um, but it's the 30% thing is, yeah, okay, it is a little bit frustrating sometimes. But like you say, we're not paying anything to be on YouTube. They're not demanding a monthly fee. They're not charging us for, it for anything
I see
really.
you, Sparks.
Um, Sparkles, you love
I
a bit of
see you.
sparks.
Oh,
Um,
Sparks, man.
and
Sparks keeps stuck in the
yes,
chair.
it would be nice. It would
Uh,
be nice if YouTube didn't take as much as they do, but at the same time, you've got to admit, or you've got to accept the fact that, like you say, they're giving you a platform. They're doing all of the hard work for you. All you've got to do is click the upload button, essentially. And you don't need to put a load of effort into overlays and thumbnails and animations and things like that. You can stream
you
straight
can.
from your
Speaking of
PlayStation.
Sparks, jeez, wild.
Now there's a guy. There's a guy that can do a
Maximum
thumbnail
effort.
and
Maximum
and
effort
some
with the
intros.
minimal driving effort. He's he's got
God,
one hand
yeah,
on he's
he's.
got that two eye thing too that Rory has. Where
You know
he's
what?
looking at
Sparks is
his
like
computer and
Rory,
racing.
but with more hair and a bit more mental. That's what Sparks is like. I say a bit more, a lot more mental, but
I
that's why
mean,
people love him
I
because
know.
he's
I want to
just
pick his brain. I need some rockets. Dutchy got rockets.
people
I need just
know
like a Viking
Sparks.
axe.
Yeah, he just he's one of these people that instantly are recognizable by his mannerisms, by the way that he talks, by his intro. Nobody does an intro to a stream like Sparks does. They just
No,
don't. And the reason is because nobody can do an intro to a stream like
no,
Sparks
it's too.
does.
There's something.
And
There's something he knows.
he's
It's a
one of these
lifetime of
people. He's a
graphic
bit like,
arts
yeah, he's god tier at streaming and Gran
for
Turismo.
sure.
He's
Shout out to
fast as
you, man.
anything. The worst thing I ever did, and I've said this so many times, the worst thing I ever did was add people to my PlayStation's friends list, because before I did that, I was at the top of my timetable in lap times every week. And as soon as I start adding people, everyone's faster than me, and it's usually Sparks or Susie every single week. Get
Oh yeah.
off my leaderboards, please. Stop playing for a month and let somebody else have a go. Thank you very much.
No, man. I at my leaderboards, it's always trying to chase Susie or chase. I mean, I don't even know if
Yeah.
Sparks is on my friends list. He's probably too popular. But man, there's some fast guys out there. Like do you? How do you? All right. So getting back into the game, how do you
Mhm.
approach Gran Turismo? I know you were talking about we're talking earlier.
Badly.
You've played a little bit. You've played a little bit of Le Mans Ultimate. It's some ACC.
Yeah.
But Gran Turismo seems to be kind of that winner for you. I always like to get people's perspective on it because you get this Gran Turismo is a simcade and you have all these other ones that are simulators, but we're all on wheels, we're all on rigs, we're trying to make the immersion
Yeah.
level high. What is it about Gran Turismo that brings you in, and why is that kind of the focal point of the channel?
Um, Gran Turismo for me is I think it's the same for a lot of people, is just massively accessible. You don't need snazzy setups, you don't need expensive equipment, you don't even need a rig. You can pick up a controller and just start playing Gran Turismo. And I think that was the initial appeal for me and a lot of other people. Also, because I don't know whether it's because I come from a sort of a graphic design background, I don't know, but the graphics in Gran Turismo are it is going to trigger people, but are the best from
Yeah,
any
super smooth.
sim racer or simcade game
And it's like
ever.
VR was made for Gran Turismo.
Yeah, it's just the best. It looks fantastic all the time. It's the best looking game in for what we do. Um, And I think those are the kind of the two main sort of things that sort of drew me to it. And because when I started, I never played sport mode. I hated it because I didn't want to be racing with people that might perhaps beat me. And then, no, I'll be honest, I didn't want to, I hate losing. I hate
I
it.
realized how not
And
fast I was when I played sport
yeah, I
mode.
did.
I
Yeah,
I made a post. I
yeah.
went back a year ago, and I made a post that, and I posted on Snapchat, and it said "getting quicker," and I like zoomed in, and I was 78,000th in the world, and I was like, "Oh my
Wow.
gosh, like
Yeah, yeah. I
that's
think I've seen that number a
that's
few times.
pretty far back there." And now I'm like,
Yeah.
now I'm trying to get into the top 200, every week, and it's
But it's weird, isn't it? Because you don't see that improvement. If you
no.
look back at how you were when you started playing the game compared to how you were now, there's a huge difference for everybody. That it just is. Well, I
100%.
say that.
What's been
Um,
what was like when you go back and you look at yourself, what's the first thing you notice that you used to do wrong?
uh, God, how long have we got? I think I was way less smooth. That's probably the biggest. And I
Like
think some of
jittery?
that, yeah, I was just, oh, I'll just go flat out here, I'll stop, and then I'll go flat out over there. And it doesn't work. Like,
100 For me, I couldn't shift. Like I still am learning
mm,
to listen. There's I
yeah,
was
I
saying
know
it
you.
yesterday. There's a gentleman that I'm listening to. I can't think of his name. I'm gonna find his channel the next time I see it, and I'm actually gonna remember his name. But he's a real life racer, and he's talking about, a lot of the comparisons between real life and actual sim racing. And
Hmm.
he gives all this different racecraft, but the downshifting, that's kind of what I'm working on now, is like timing my
Yeah.
downshifting right, going into an apex, and then kind of mirroring that getting out. Is there anything that you think that you do particularly well at?
Nope. um, it depends on the circuit for me. I'm very much some I'm good at. I don't really have a circuit that I'm kind of in the middle. I'm either really bad or quite good. There's no kind of in between. And it's happened this week. Last week we had Monza as a daily race, and I love Monza. And I'm sat there and I'm getting into races with A plus drivers and winning in races with A plus drivers. And I said last week on the stream, I guarantee next week will be absolute garbage and my A rating is going to go down the toilet. Lo and behold, Grand Valley, hate it. And I've just done terribly. Um,
What's your
but
favorite combo?
Spa, Group 3 at Spa.
Group
Love
3, it's
Spa.
that's where
Yeah,
you're pretty
yeah.
quick to
I don't know what it is. I think I like I prefer the real world circuits, the real life circuits,
well, you've seen some
because
of
it
these
adds
real
a
life
sense
circuits,
of
right?
a couple of them. Yeah, I've driven. Where have I driven? That's in the game.
You've
Brands
s-
Hatch.
you've seen some legit cars, like going into the back into these graphics with the cars. You've seen like at
Yeah,
Silverstone. How many different tracks have you
yeah.
been to?
In the UK, Silverstone, Anglesey, Brands Hatch, Donington, uh, Bruxton, and there was one more. Snetterton.
Jeez.
Those are the ones I've driven at. I've visited a couple of other ones.
And then you actually
Um,
used to be an actual test driver for road cars, right? So you actually
yeah,
have
so
track
that's
time.
yeah. So well, I've always been into motorsport. I was big into motorsport, and I was probably about 2021, and I just thought I want to work at Silverstone, and I'm going to find out how to do that. So I sent an email, and I basically begged for a job. And I was called in for an interview with a guy called Chris Ward, who does a lot of historic races. He was the kind of chief instructor at the time. And he said to me, "So what do you want to do?" I said, "I just want to work around cars and I want to drive them." And he said, "Okay, we'll see what we can do." So
It's
initially,
like
I was brought in as I was at front of house for as my first job. I was signing people on, and I got talking to a couple of the instructors, and on my lunch break, I'd go out in cars with the instructors, and I'd get as much time actually driving the car as I could. And after about a year, I did my ads test to get my race license. I'd- And people would pay, I think it was about £40 at the time, and they'd get 3 laps around the circuit in the passenger seat. And that's what I did. I just drove cars really fast around Silverstone all day, and it was the best job I've ever had. It was great.
that's
Um, yeah. So and I
I
kind
mean,
of
that sounds amazing. So when you compare that, so going back into that kind of like in out of body experience, I guess,
yeah.
how do you compare, sim racing to actually racing on the wheel? Is the feedback similar? Is the what's missing?
It the, I have this kind of thing, and I've said it a few times, that Gran Turismo need to take the real driving simulator off from the title, um, because it just isn't. If you drove a car like you drive a car in Gran Turismo, it's not the same for all of them, but some guys you'll see, and some of the top split drivers are shifting down through gears, and you can see the revs bam, 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 bam. And if you did that in a real car, your gearbox would be 200
That's
meters
what I
behind you.
that's what I've always thought. I actually saw Yaki blow
Yeah,
out a motor in ACC the other day, and I was like,
yeah,
oh, like that
you just
happens in the
wouldn't.
game. Like GT needs that because
Yeah,
I've heard the people talk junk about the downshift, like the rapid downshift.
yeah, it's just that's one thing that it kind of it's not it takes away from the realism. Ghosting, I mean, I think we're all fairly aware that cars don't just disappear. Um, and allow you to drive straight through them.
Right.
I mean, it has its benefits, obviously, but that's it's something that again takes it away from being a simulator, and it's little things. Um, you're shifting down into first gear to get rotation, and then shifting up from first into third. No, why would you do that? Um, but it's these little things that you need to do to be competitive in the game.
Any improvements
Um,
that you would add? Like what does Gran Turismo need for Gran Turismo 8?
Gran Turismo, for me at the moment, I think Gran Turismo needs some kind of fix to help people in daily races in terms of the penalty system. That's the biggest downfall for me at the moment. I think damage would be a good idea. And I think they need to come up with a system that kind of differentiates between the person that's being punted and the person that's doing the punting. Because I mean, especially over I'd say the last 3 or 4 weeks, the races for me have just been horrendous. And it's a shame because people like me and many others that jump onto the game because it's the closest we can get to motorsport, because many of us, we can't afford to do real life motorsport. So Gran Turismo is kind of our escape,
Oh yeah. We
from
love cars. We just can't
reality, and
afford.
we love cars.
Shout
Yeah,
out
and
to
we just
Zilla.
get
I get to
lost in
actually
it.
drive a GTR.
And you get into a race and you're all excited and you think this is great and I'm going to do all the overtakes, and no, I'm not, because somebody from Spain has just punted me into oblivion.
1 minute pens.
And yeah, it's just it's things like that that I think would stop a lot of people, including myself,
I
from
think
getting
if the game
frustrated.
could calculate like what an actual punt was, someone like
Yeah,
closing
yeah,
the speed at a certain, you know, just I'm sure there's a way that the AI could calculate that. And yeah, like
Yeah,
Brigsby said, you should probably get like a 1 minute penalty. I mean, taken out of
yeah,
the
yeah.
race, because I was racing last night, and even Misa was
I
racing
saw.
last night, and it was brutal. I mean, some of the people are just out there just wrecking people, and it's like, this
Hmm.
really makes it not fun. And I could
Yeah,
probably imagine the discouragement, even like you said, you didn't even like to race sport mode. And I wasn't doing live racing for a long time, but if you don't have that, I guess that top split speed, or at least in whatever class you're in, the
hmm,
guys in the back are really getting away with some crazy stuff. So if there was,
yeah.
a steeper penalty system, and I don't know how reporting does. I had heard a rumor that reporting only works for chat. I'm not a big reporter, I just snitches get stitches kind of guy. Like I've
I nearly
never
got banned from the game. No, no. I nearly got my PlayStation Plus membership banned because I called somebody an idiot once.
yeah, like, so I stay out of the drama. I mean, I guess early on,
Yeah.
maybe I kind of get a little gripey, but a steeper penalty for punting, because again, man, it's like every week, you see on Murders of the Week or Plebs of the Week, guys are getting away with
Mm,
some crazy stuff. And if you have that YouTube
yeah.
badge, I mean, and some of us, I mean, we're out there trying
Oh,
to network.
instant target.
Instant target. And
Yeah.
I've watched guys, and again, shout out to Rory, who can deal with some of this stuff, just kind of laugh at it, look at the camera, and make a funny face. But I mean, some of us get really ticked off, you know.
Hmm. Well,
I-
this is one of my biggest problems within the game because I suffer with what I do. Um, when things like that happen and I get frustrated, I lack the ability to rise above it and brush it off. And that's my biggest kind of, if I had to pick one thing, if somebody, in interviews when people say pick one thing or one sort of flaw,
One thing.
um, and that would be it.
Yeah.
I wish I could control my emotions because I think not only would it make it more enjoyable for me, I think it would also make it more enjoyable for the people that watch me.
Oh yeah, nobody
Because
wants to see that stuff. It's
no,
like
and
it's like kicking
I
someone in
wish I
the
didn't do
nuts
it.
in a fight. It's like if
Mm,
when you're watching a boxing match, when you're watching a fight, when you're watching a basketball game, when you're watching a football game, a soccer game, whatever you're watching, you want to see
hmm.
things played by the rules. You're watching it. There's an etiquette. When you're playing a board game,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
an etiquette. It's like, yeah, I could win, or I could adjust the trajectory of the way this event is going. But if you're doing it from with outside the rules, it doesn't make you any better. You know, and
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
for the people who take pride in it, I don't understand why you would waste time doing that. Like it's not
yeah,
funny. It'd be different, I guess, if it was funny, but it's not funny.
yeah.
It's like class
I
clowning,
also
just too
that's
far.
it.
Class
Yeah.
clowning in like a good classroom. Like you get that look
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude,
I I also feel like, and people have pointed out to me before this morning. In fact, actually, people have pointed out to me that y- people
Petrol
don't want
said
to
said
see
his
you.
etiquette all his marriage has etiquette.
people people don't want to see and I'm aware of the fact that I have meltdowns on streams, um and I
I
hate
agree,
it.
Briggs.
Nobody is more frustrated with the way that I am on a stream than I am, because I hate it. But I I cannot stress to people enough with the fact that it is completely out of my control. I don't want to do it. I don't want to get into that kind of headspace. It's just, once something goes wrong or something doesn't go the way that I'm kind of planning it to go, my head just goes, well, the positive stuff we're going to throw over there. We
Yeah.
don't want that anymore. We're just going to be negative for the next 6 hours, and that's what we're going to do.
You usually
And
make
I'm
the
lit.
announcement too, like it's about to go
I
bad,
try.
folks. So
Yeah,
if you're gonna stick
yeah.
here, stick here. If not, be gone.
I can feel it. I can literally feel it building up, and I don't know whether people can see it on the stream, but it's literally a battle between me and up
Yeah.
here,
Yeah. And
and
some of us try to
I
hide
sit
it.
here
You know what
and
I mean?
I'm
And
thinking, don't do
that's
it,
not
don't
real.
do it, don't do it. And then I'm like, oh no, no, it's happening anyway. We're doing it. Okay,
Yeah.
now I'm a passenger.
But that, I
Um,
mean, that's real talk. That's what people are actually going through. We were talking about
yeah,
men's mental health and awareness, you know, and like
yeah,
understanding, you know, how to talk about it and how to be about it. And for a lot of us,
hmm
video games are a therapy. It's our way to, you know, block out the world for a
100%.
little bit.
Yeah,
Everything
100%.
outside
Yes,
of,
it's an
you know,
escape.
this little corner I've built stresses me out. And yeah, the
Yeah.
game stresses me out too, not gonna lie. But it's a channeling, right? And if we're let's
hmm
be real. I mean, most of us are probably on here. I mean, you look at the chat, everybody in here. I mean, raise your hand if you don't get on these rigs and you don't get in behind this TV and behind the wheel and be like, I just want to block everything else out for the next few hours. I'm a
I
race car
do.
driver.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep. Yep. That's
it
it.
is
And
our
I think
therapy.
that's what a lot of
You got to
people
be
do.
real
It
about it.
really is. Um, and that's it saved me and from a really sort of horrible, dark place that I didn't want to be in. And I've just been really fortunate to kind of, I wouldn't even say that I've got people together because I'm, I'm just a person on the internet. There's so many people within this community, and not just from mine, from people in various discords. Rory Sparks, Dutchy, and Sims, and we're all small cogs in a big machine, and whether we stream or not, we're all the same.
Oh
And
yeah. Well,
I
that's
think if it wasn't for for what I do, and if it wasn't for the people that I speak to, and the people that we all speak to, I very much doubt that I'd be here, and that's the truth.
and I know when you say that, like
Because
that's not even a figure of speech. That's like real
hey,
talk.
it's real talk,
Like
100%.
this not that quick channel has saved Neil's life.
100%, 100%. Well, there is no doubt in my mind that if I hadn't have done YouTube and I hadn't have got to know some of the people that I have, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
No question in my mind at all.
I mean,
Um, and
I
it's
I'm glad to get a small page of that. Every single person, the special thing about behind the wheel, and I'm starting to notice, you know, kind of guys are doing more things where they're trying to engage more, and hopefully there's a butterfly effect from all of us of this generation of YouTube, the 2025
mm,
class, we'll call it, you know, of up and comers that are. I see a lot of positivity. I see a lot of people that are trying to help, a lot of people that are trying
yeah,
to outreach. I think we live in a generation now where men are being a little bit more open about our mental health. I mean, I'll be the first one to say,
true,
like, I got all kinds of
true.
issues that I deal with. I have a big family. I have, you know, a past, a present, and, you know, a future, hopefully, you know, and I want I want my future to be different than my past, but I use my past to build my future. You know what I mean? And a lot of the hardships that I've gone through have
Mm,
helped me to overcome a lot of this. Like it's a video game. It's not an imaginary community because emotions and I think our spirits matter and we're all interacting with our spirit because that's what you have to project over, you know, over the screen when you talk to people is,
yeah,
you know, that's why I love Yaki. You go on Yaki's channel and it's just happiness, man. It's like glowing off the guy. And even on his rough days, it's like I wonder what Yaki does when he's mad. Like, does he go pace outside? Does he, you know, I wonder if he has like a punching bag and he's like, you know, low key, like, you know, out there beating the crap out of this thing because you
yeah.
don't know. And when I get
You
on here
don't
and I talk to you
know.
guys, I get to know you and it's like, these are like friends that I have all over the world now, you know, and when I get on your guys' channel, it's like, it's a little bit different, man. So I've had a
Mm,
lot of fun and I appreciate like the process. Now, you know, behind the scenes and behind the wheel, it's like a week or two of just trying to get information, trying to connect, trying to learn about you, you know, trying to gather data and the pictures and everything. So I appreciate you kind of going through this process, man. And I always like to take a moment to try to give back to the community for a second, just acknowledge everybody that's in here. and get some questions out there. So if you kind of want to fire off at the community, we got Yaki in here, Dave, Petrol Dead, Blanco, a whole bunch of legends, man. I don't know if you recognize anybody that you want to shout out to.
There's I hate picking people out because I always feel like it makes the people that I haven't picked out feel bad. So I'm going to put a blanket rule across everybody. I appreciate everyone. I speak to a few people outside of Discord and streaming. Dave, especially, I seem to get on very well with Dave. Me and Dave seem to be one of the same, or two of the same. However, I don't know what the phrase is, but you get the idea. And Dave's very much somebody that he'll just give it to you like it is. He won't sugarcoat it. And I've had quite
That's
a
my
rough week this
gesture.
week, and Dave knows that I've had a bit of a rough week this week, and he'll speak to me after a stream and go, "You shut up. People don't care how many numbers you've got. They just like you. They don't care if you win or not. Stop being." And that's how he'll speak to me, and I love him for it, because it's that sometimes you need that.
Yeah, everybody needs a
Um,
Dave.
Everyone needs a Dave, but also people like Game Plan. I speak to Game Plan quite regularly. I speak to GTI regularly. It just, it's just one big happy family. It's just amazing.
It's
It's
the
brilliant.
traveling circus, man. It's
It
funny.
really
Every
is.
time I could jump
And
on,
people like Brigsby.
I love
Oh,
Brigsby.
I could sit here all day and reel names off. I've made so many friends from doing
Buzz
this. It's
buzz to the
nuts.
beehive, man. I like everybody's little communities, man. And I
Yeah, it's
like
good.
being the guy who kind of pops in. I guess that's the Viking in me is and and I'm trying to be a positive Viking. I know Vikings get a bad rap, historically speaking, but we were adventurers and we traveled. So I like to
How can
travel
you have
to
a
different
bad rep when you've got a beard like yours?
I had a man, I miss my old beard, but being professional, man, try to be professional. Try to be professional. But I like jumping into communities. I like saying hi to folks. I like being this kind of ambassador to or
Hmm.
being an ambassador to, the positive vibe. So I hope that
Yeah.
I've had some kind of influence and impact on that when it comes to the community. Everybody jumping in GTI V6R or VR6R. I always try to say it quick and I get it wrong. But just shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for being
Yeah.
here and
Yeah.
kind of building this up and building the momentum on it momentum of it on YouTube and on the platform. I've definitely been gravitated towards the GT community just because, obviously the game has been kind to me skill wise, but the community's been kind to me support wise. And I mean, that's really what it's all about. So I, at the end of every show, we always we leave this for last. I don't know why it's become a tradition, but you got to tell us where Not That Quick came from.
um, the name came from, because that's literally what I was. I was not very good. and at the time I was watching other people stream, like I'd watch people like Rory, they're and others, and they're really good, and they were doing all these fast lap times, and I'm like, oh well, yeah, I can't do that. So yeah, I'm just not that quick, and that's literally what it is.
It was like, ding.
Um, it's what it's literally like. Yeah, that's what happened, and I kind of thought, oh, that's got a little ring to it.
Did you
And
say it
now
out loud
people
or
are
was it a mental thought?
just a mental thought. Yeah, I wasn't that excited. Um, but yeah, that's where it comes from. It comes from me just not being very good, and
Well,
then
it's definitely
NTQ
different now.
started, and well, sometimes, yeah. Last week, yeah. This week, definitely the name rings true, 100%.
I always love
Yeah,
finding it out, man. I like,
that's the story. That's
I
the
think
story.
Dutchy told us that Pupuyuku kind of named him, and then Pupuyuku is like in Estonia, it's like a kind of a class clown or a goof. Like it's really awesome, to hear the stories again, once again, behind
Hmm.
the wheel, episode 15, not that quick, did not disappoint, man. I'm so honored to be able to get guests like you that, and again, when I have the connection, it's not really about, you know, who's coming on next. It just happens. And, I remember when you messaged me, I was like, it's the next one's probably going
Yeah,
to be NTQ. Just the
I
heartfelt
watched the
conversations, man. I appreciate you for
yeah.
all the motivation.
No. I should be thanking you, but I saw the I've seen a few of your interviews that you did. But I saw you do the one with Dutchy, and I thought this. When you listen to somebody or you start talking to somebody, and you're like, this guy's on my level,
Oh,
or
man,
this
I
person's
appreciate
on
it.
my level, and I thought the way that you kind of conduct an interview and you do your background checks and you get your information and you put everything together, I'm just like, yeah, you know what, this guy's winning at life.
Oh, man.
And I thought I'd love to sit down, and you know what, I'd have done this whether it was streamed or not. I like to sit down and talk to people that are on the same level as me,
Well, that's the best part
because
is like the
it
before and after,
that's
man. I
it.
end up having conversations like it turns
Yeah,
into an all day affair of just kind of hanging out with someone.
it helps me massively. If I, talking is if there's one thing that I learned from dealing with all of the problems that I've had and have, talking is the biggest one.
Yeah. There's always
And
someone
if
out there
there's
that can
any,
relate or wants to
yeah,
listen. You know what I mean?
if
Like
there's
even if you
any
can't relate.
advice that I could give to somebody, if somebody says, "What's the one bit of advice you can give to somebody that is suffering from any kind of mental health or any kind of issue?" Just talking is the best advice I can give somebody,
Yeah.
because it doesn't cost anything, and it's done so much for me. It's unreal.
And you'll and
Just
you'll find
talking to
out, man,
people.
that kind of when you put yourself out there, people, the one I say this all the time, the ones who care don't matter and the ones who care or the ones who matter don't care.
Yeah,
Like they're going to support
yeah.
you no matter what. And you'll find that people are also going to like are looking for someone to talk to too. I always shout out
Mhm.
I always shout out Marley Diesel because it was like one of the first off YouTube
Yeah, yeah,
conversations I had, about just testimony and kind of, where how they got to where they're at in life. And usually people are behind this camera because I mean, sometimes it's a lot of hardship. Sometimes it's inspiring and it's
yeah.
awesome and somebody's got some money laying around and they just started up and they just did it, but usually it's someone's trying to pay a bill or someone's trying to find another source of income and or someone's just
Mhm.
trying to be a dad or a man or like you said, be a man of a house and do something. And
Yeah.
so man, I applaud you. Congratulations on all the success this year. Good luck to you on your new channel. Not that, what
Thanks,
is it?
sir.
Not that fixed.
Not that fixed.
So
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Original.
like
Yeah.
DIY car
It's
stuff. So y'all check that out. We'll try to get that
yeah.
link shared. If you want to just take some time, man, and some questions, chat. If you guys want to throw some questions out there, Neil, I'll give you the floor to kind of, give a closing statement, I guess, and shout out to anybody you want to shout out to.
I think I can't pinpoint one person. That I can't do that, because there's so many people that I mean, I'd be sat here for the next 3 hours thanking everyone
For
that's
sure.
kind of helped me. And I would just like to say a massive thank you to everybody for not just helping me, but sticking around and seeing past the kind of, the biggest thing for me is the people that have stuck around, even though they've seen me have my little tantrums and lose my cool and get upset at things, and they're still here. They, you have no idea how grateful I am for that, because I can never thank everyone enough for that. Because I think if it was on the other foot and I was watching somebody, I think I'd find it difficult to carry on watching, if I wasn't aware of the situation. Um, Given what I've gone through and meeting the people that I have done has taught me a lot, and it's made me really grateful for the people that have stuck around. and continue to support me. So yeah, I just want to thank everybody, every single one of you. I think
Bravo, brother. Bravo. Um,
I'll get an
Neil,
Oscar for that one. That was good, wasn't
Neil,
it?
Neil, I knew it was gonna be a deep episode. Talking to Misa before, I was just like, you know, every episode has its message. And you are a giant. You're a mental giant. Um, again, I applaud you so much, and I see you out there working as hard as you do. I love all the thumbnails, man. It's inspiring. I love the content. I love the channel and all the work that you put into it. I learned so much
Thanks,
about
mate.
you know, from being a DJ to being a, you know, a private agent to almost getting shot, you know, and just, you know, all the cool things that you've done, you know, all the hardships that you've gone through. It just makes me respect the person that you are even more and the man behind the wheel. So thank you so much for coming here. Thank you so much to the NTQ community that participated. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, golf clap for everybody. I have to throw one of these. Then I do it all the time. I've got to throw in a golf clap. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir. Yeah,
It's got to
friendly
be done.
golf clap. Friendly golf clap. So
Yeah.
I will let you get back to your life, man. I know it's getting late out there. I appreciate your time and thank you for kind of going through the circus act that it takes to put all this together. But thanks,
No,
man.
I
Appreciate it.
appreciate it. Thank you for having me, mate. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not that quick, y'all. Later, brother. Wow. That was deep. That was awesome. That was insightful. That was inspirational. We got to appreciate the man, the myth, another legend, NTQ. Got to love the guy. Got to respect the guy for everything that he's been through. I mean, some of us have just never really felt hardships like that. I know in my life I've felt some hard stuff, but in different ways. And luckily, fortunately for all of us that are here, you got to remember that we got through those things, and that every day is a new day to kind of get through those things. And you never know, you know, success might be right around the corner. You might just, you know, just click with the right group and click with the right people, and boom, bang. Now you got a community behind you, supporting you. And in your hardest times, you know, they're going to have your back the most. So shout out to everybody. GTI V6R, Brigsby, Ricky, Petrol, Yaki, Dave, TC. Oh man. Just man, you guys have been lighting the chat up. Squeezy, Sparks for coming in. Who else we got? Blanco45, brother. Appreciate you, man. We definitely got to get you on the behind the wheel. I see your channel, see your success. Got to make some time. Reach out to me. We'll get that done. Sparky, you know we want you on behind the wheel. It's not really like I said, it's just kind of a random thing that happens. So Mikkel, I appreciate you. Again, man, I love you guys. The community is what drives this. You guys keep getting out there, keep getting faster, and we're going to keep putting these together for you. Until next time, man, Viking King is out.